Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and once again it is Sunday and time for the Texas Gun Vault poll question of the week. This week's question is going to deal with safety at the range. I had mentioned in some past range reports that I have been to my local range where I shoot most of my range reports, and I've seen some pretty unsafe things or people there that are just pretty annoying. Now I know whenever you're around firearms you want to be as safe as possible, and I know that myself and I'm sure all of you want to be the best ambassadors to the Second Amendment that we can be. So this question deals with what do you do when you're at the range and somebody is being unsafe? How do you handle it? I know that every situation can be a little bit different, especially with the personalities involved, and we always kind of have to take a step back and decide what is the best course of action. But with that said, let's dive right into this week's poll question. So for the Texas Gun Vault question of the week, number 24. If you've been following my channel and watching some range reports, I have mentioned on a few occasions that while I am there filming, I see other people handling guns in unsafe ways. Sometimes these people are know-it-alls and obviously do not take kindly to others' advice and pleas for safety. For me, it has been to the point I felt so unsafe that I left. If there was no range safety officer or that officer was disinterested in dealing with the issue, I made sure to voice my concerns with the front desk. Firearm safety should be our top priority when at the public range, but when you have no other choice and are not in a situation where you can help them, what do you do? Well, first of all the spelling Nazis out there should know that I had a big old spelling mistake. And when I said know-it-all, it should be K-N-O-W. I kind of write these sometimes in the middle of the night when I'm setting up all the videos, and apparently my spell check messed that one up. So I'm a knucklehead on that one. But I didn't see anybody make fun of me in the comments, but I'll go ahead and make fun of myself. Apparently I'm an idiot when it comes to spelling. But let's dive right into your responses. With 542 votes this week, we have leave and let the range know why. I do not have time for nonsense. 51%. Sit back and wait to see if someone wins a Darwin Award. 13%. Stay and mind my own business. Don't ask and don't tell. 8%. Stay and do my best to interject and teach others about safety. 23%. And something else, tell me in the comment section below. 5%. Well, the results of this poll are exactly as I had predicted. Most people said they were going to leave the range and let them know why, or stay and do my best to help if possible. So everybody here, of course, wants to be safe, and we want to make sure that the people around us are safe, even the people that we don't know. As I said, we want to be the best ambassadors for the Second Amendment that we can possibly be, and that includes teaching others how to handle firearms in a safe manner. So let's go through each one of these and I'll kind of tell you what I think. Leave and let the range know why. I do not have time for nonsense. That's honestly the one I would have voted for. So on this week, I'm actually going to vote in the majority. That actually kind of breaks what has been like the past couple of weeks where usually I'm a fan of one of the other answers. But normally I don't want to be there and be involved. And I don't even want to help them if they have an accident. I just don't want to be there. I don't want to see anybody get hurt. Now, from my personal experience, a lot of times when guys go to the range, and I say guys in the kind of the mankind type of term, I know girls go to the range too, but when people go to the range, often you get the jocks or the A-type personalities, especially those that are trying to help others or show off their guns. And if you try to get involved or say anything, you can tell that they take offense to it. And so especially the way that they're kind of presenting themselves or the way that they hold themselves, you go, maybe this is not something I want to get involved in, because of course you don't want to get in any type of verbal altercation at the range. And even if your intent is all about safety and the care of other people, some people might take offense to it. So I kind of think it's better to let the range handle it if they want to handle it. I've actually been at ranges before where I've actually reported people that were handling firearms unsafely. I can even tell you a story of when I was visiting my parents when they lived in Florida. My dad and I went to a local range and there was an elderly gentleman there shooting some type of semi-automatic pistol. I don't remember exactly what it was right now off the top of my head, but he was having an extremely difficult time racking the slide. It was a 9mm and he was a very elderly gentleman, and when he was was racking the slide, his hands were shaking, and he was turning the gun sideways, either to the bay next to him, just trying to manipulate the slide to cock the gun. And I felt it was extremely dangerous because he was sweeping other people. I informed the range, and they didn't have any problem with it whatsoever. That kind of concerned me, and I can tell you that we packed up our stuff relatively quick and got out of there. It really surprised me that the range did not care. But my thing is, get out of there. You don't want to be around people that are handling firearms unsafely. Next, we have sit back and wait to see if someone wins a Darwin Award. And you guys know what I'm saying there. See if someone actually hurts themselves. You know, sometimes people are just going to be stupid and you can't stop them. And sometimes you're going to think to yourself, well, I tried, or I can't interject here because maybe the person, as I said, is kind of an alpha personality. They're talking really loud and they don't want to be embarrassed in front of their friends. And you're sitting there like, they're going to hurt themselves. I've told the range, I can't interject. I'm going to sit back and see what happens. And I know that some people want to see a train wreck, and that's probably what that is. While you can say that's kind of mean, I can understand it as well. I'm not saying that's the course of action I would want to take, but if you're presented with no other option, well, I guess sit back and watch the show. Then we have stay and mind my own business, don't ask and don't tell. This one actually got a little bit more than I thought, but I can also understand people that just want to go to the range, mind their own business, because you don't want to be bothered either. You don't want someone coming over, even if it's not about safety, telling you, hey, I can improve your accuracy, I can improve this, you need to do this to your gun. You know, you don't want to be bothered. You go there, you know what you're there to do. You're there to work on trigger control. You're there to work on zeroing a scope, whatever it is. You don't want to be bothered. For me personally, when I go to the range, it's a very personal thing. It's personal me time, and I'm just there to relax and have fun. And so if someone's going to come over and bother me and talk my ear off and tell me how I'm doing something wrong, it's only going to agitate me and put me in a bad mood. So since I don't like people talking to me that way, maybe I could see people saying, I don't want to talk to others that way. I'll just let them be the way they want to be. Then we have stay and do my best to interject and teach others about safety. Now, this one, of course, is, I think, the best option. If at all possible, if you see someone handling a firearm unsafely or in a stupid, haphazardly way, you do want to say, hey, do you mind not sweeping me with that firearm? Hey, could you please take your finger off the trigger when you're not ready to shoot? Things like that. You're always going to run the risk of offending people and, of course, them turning on you. Not that they would be violent, but, of course, getting really agitated with you. And that's even going to ruin your range experience. So now, while you might be more safe, they're looking at you, you can tell that they're very upset, and that still ruins the whole experience at the range and why you're there. So that's no fun at all. And then finally, we have something else. Tell me in the comment section below. And I can tell you, when it came to these people that answered for this, most of them said, I shoot on public land, or I have a private range that's outdoors where it's just me. And I want to say that that is wonderful, but some people live in the city. And of course, as I always say, the Second Amendment belongs to all Americans and everybody. So not everybody has the chance to go out to wide open spaces. Not everyone has 50 acres of land. Not everybody has access to public land. So sometimes going to the indoor range is your only option for you to practice with your firearm. And so that's why this poll exists and why those ranges exist, because not everybody can get out there. I think it's wonderful. And of course, those are the best types of range experiences. You go out into the woods, you're by yourself, maybe with a couple of buddies, and you're out there, everyone's handling firearms safe, everyone knows what they're doing, you feel very comfortable. That is the optimal situation, but not everybody is that fortunate every time they get to go shooting. So that is my thoughts on all these answers, but let's see what you guys have to say with the top rated comments of the week. And the top rated comment of this week comes from Blake Bowers, who says, I avoid indoor ranges, but when I can't and other shooters are being dangerous, I'll say something to them directly. Their goofing off is jeopardizing my safety as well as the others' shooter's safety too. And I gotta say, I completely agree with him. That is 100% my sentiment and what I think I capitulated in my responses to each of the answers. Then we have Gort, who says, for me it depends on the situation and perpetrator. I would first go the route of alerting the range officer, but I have found that doesn't always work. If the person seems to be acting out of a lack of knowledge of the rules of safety and they appear amenable to help, I will do so. If it's the loudmouth know-it-all types, I will exit and talk to the manager on the way out. And once again, I feel exactly the same way. So he's saying it's a situational thing. It depends on who, as he calls it, the perpetrator is. And I think that's really important. Now, the range where I go to shoot, and I know some people from that range actually watch my videos, and the people that I know that watch my videos, I don't think are any of these people. So I'm just putting that out there. But the people at this private range that I go to on the VIP lanes, sometimes you get the know-it-alls. And I talked about that in one of my recent range reports. And I even show you guys footage of him talking in the background. He's really loud, showing people things, doing weird things with the gun. He was not unsafe that day. He was just loud and obnoxious. And it's like, you don't gotta be that way. You can talk a little bit softer. You don't have to manipulate the gun so fast and try to show off how much you know. Then we have my good friend Jack Mullins, who says safety is main concern, and approaching someone and trying to teach them the error of their ways must be done with tact and not be condescending. And that's another great point. As a teacher, professionally, that's what I do. I find that teaching others or explaining things to people can be a very precise art. You never want to offend. You never want to put them on the defense. So approach them in a caring way where you say, hey, did you know this? Or make sure that your tone of voice is calm and collected versus angry or concerning or agitated. It sometimes will allow you to communicate to them in ways that otherwise you may not be able to. Then we have Swaffy X, who says, my answer isn't there. Go find the range master and ask them to intervene. And as I've mentioned before, sometimes that doesn't work. I've talked to range safety officers, range masters. I've gone to the front desk and go, this person is being unsafe. And sometimes they simply don't care. Sometimes you'll have the range safety officers that are safety sallies beyond reproach. It's amazing how different ranges handle things. I know one outdoor range here, their range safety officers are constantly marching up and down in any minor infraction of any kind. You hear them yelling at people. And then there's other ranges where I know they don't seem to care. Personally, I like to err on the side of the range safety officers being way more cautious than what they should be. I would rather go to the range, have some fun, and know that I'm safe and people are watching out for me than the range safety officers who are just there maybe getting minimum wage and just want to go home, don't care. But that's just me personally. But luckily I shoot at a range where I have VIP lane access, where many times it is just myself and my wife. And finally we have Critter 9A, who says, being a range NCO, you stop and make corrective actions. Since I'm no longer in that position, you reach out to those who are. I go to a local outside range and usually by myself anyways. So there's someone talking with authority, someone that was there. As I said, the best course of action is to always notify the range. Now, once you make your concerns aware to them, depending on what they do, it's no longer your liability. You've done everything you can. If they choose to take that information and go with it, they can do that. If they choose to ignore it, they do it at their own peril. But what is most important, as I said, is that we all are able to go to the range, feel safe, and have fun. That is the main goal. And we're all in this together as ambassadors of the Second Amendment. So there you go. That is the Texas Gun Vault question of the week. Kind of a different one about range safety. So if you want to participate in next week's poll, please feel free to go over to my community tab on my main channel page. The link will be in the description below. Feel free to vote, comment, and like other people's comments so we can get the top rated comment of the week. I always enjoy making these videos, and I like the wide variety of topics that we can discuss here on the channel that don't always necessarily deal with a physical firearm, but it's always something about guns and gun culture. It's really a lot of fun to get to interact with you guys and hear what you have to say. So let me know if you have any questions in the comment section below, and go check out next week's poll. So as always, thanks for watching.